Snow pressed softly against the wide glass windows of the towering office building as if trying to peek inside. Christmas lights blinked weakly around the lobby, but the mood felt anything but festive. Inside the CEO's office, tension sat thick in the air, heavy enough to make anyone's chest tighten. Ethan Ward, a man known everywhere for his iron-cold decisions, sat behind his desk flipping through financial reports, calculating the losses, the cuts he needed to make, the names that would be erased right before Christmas. He hated this part. But business was business, and emotions didn't balance numbers. At least that's what he always told himself. Outside his office door, a young woman named Sarah Carter stood trembling. She pressed her hands together so tightly her knuckles whitened. She had been called into the office unexpectedly, and everyone knew what sudden winter meetings meant. She thought about her unpaid rent, her mother's medical bills, the worn-out shoes of her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, and the crushed dream she had tried so hard to keep alive. She whispered to herself, "Please, not now. Not right before Christmas." Her legs felt as if they carried the weight of the entire world when she finally forced herself forward. As the secretary opened the door, little Lily, who had insisted on walking her mother to work because school was closed for the holidays, slipped inside behind her before Sarah could stop her. She wore purple mittens, mismatched on purpose because she called it her lucky pair. Strands of her golden hair peeked out from under a wool hat with a tiny white pom-pom dancing on top. Her cheeks were flushed pink from the cold. Ethan looked up, startled, not by Sarah, but by the small figure approaching his desk with cautious steps. "Lily, sweetheart, outside, darling," Sarah whispered, grabbing for her daughter's arm, panic swelling inside her chest. But Lily slipped free. She walked right up to the CEO, her small boots squeaking on the polished floor. She lifted her eyes to him, big, soft, full of a fear a child should never have to carry. And then it happened. "Please, don't fire Mommy," she whispered, her voice barely louder than the snowfall outside. Ethan blinked. For the first time in months, maybe years, he forgot to breathe. Sarah froze, mortified. "Lily! You can't." "I'm so sorry, sir, she didn't mean." But Lily wasn't done. "It's Christmas," she added, her voice trembling. "And Mommy already works so much. She says Santa might not come this year, but that's okay. I told her he still will. He has to. But if she loses her job," Lily swallowed hard, trying so desperately not to cry, "then maybe he won't know where we live anymore." Ethan felt something sharp twist inside him, a feeling he had shoved away years ago. Guilt. Slowly, Lily reached into her coat and pulled out a small object wrapped in napkin paper. She placed it on his desk with the softest thump. "I made this for Mommy," she whispered, "but you can have it, if you help her. Please." Sarah looked like her heart had shattered into 1,000 pieces. Her eyes glistened. Her breath hitched. She hadn't known Lily heard her late-night conversations with herself, those anxious whispers she never meant for little ears. For a moment, no one spoke. Ethan stared at the tiny, oddly shaped clay ornament. It was uneven, colorful in the messy way a child's creation always is, with a crooked little heart painted in the center. He touched it gently. And something in him cracked. He remembered another Christmas. Another office. Another small voice, a little boy begging him not to work late again. Ethan had promised he'd only be a few minutes. But he stayed long into the night. He never got the chance to keep another promise after that day. Because of the accident. The memory hit him like a punch. He swallowed, fighting a storm he had buried under years of discipline and spreadsheets. Finally, he lifted his gaze to the trembling child. "Come here," he whispered. Lily stepped forward. Her small hand landed in his unintentionally as she steadied herself. Her skin was warm, soft, alive, everything he had once cherished and lost. "What's your name?" he asked gently, even though he already knew. "Lily." "Well, Lily, thank you for your gift." His voice cracked at the edges. "It means more than you know." Sarah closed her eyes as tears rolled silently down her cheeks. "Sir, please," she didn't mean to interrupt. "I understand the company is struggling. If this is about the layoffs, Ethan raised a hand. "Sit, Sarah." She obeyed, shaking. He turned back to the ornament on his desk. The small painted heart stared back at him as if demanding he make one good decision, for once not as a CEO, but as a human being. He took a deep slow breath. "Sarah," he began, "I called you in to discuss the restructuring." Her breath caught. Lily squeezed her mother's hand. "But after seeing this," he touched the ornament gently, "I realized something. This company has lost enough families. I will not be responsible for breaking another." Sarah's eyes widened. "Sir, does that mean?" "You're not being fired," he said softly. Then looked at Lily. "And Santa will know exactly where you live." Lily let out a small gasp, the kind that sounds like hope finally breathing. Sarah covered her mouth, trying to hold herself together. But Ethan wasn't finished. "There's more I want to discuss," he said, clearing his throat. "But not here. Not like this. Let's take a moment. I need one too." His voice trembled, and that alone told Sarah that something heavy was buried inside this man, something her daughter had unknowingly touched. Snow kept falling outside, but inside that office, something had begun to thaw. Something that had been frozen for far too long. And Ethan had no idea that this single whispered plea, "Please don't fire mommy," was about to change his entire life, and Christmas, in ways he never imagined. The hallway outside Ethan's office felt warmer than usual, as if the building itself understood something important had just happened. Sarah held Lily's hand tightly as they stepped out for a moment, giving the CEO time to collect himself. She kept replaying the scene in her mind, her daughter's trembling voice, the ornament on the desk, the way Ethan's eyes softened in a way she had never seen in a man known for being unshakable. She knelt down in front of Lily and brushed her cheek. "Sweetheart, why did you do that?" Lily shrugged. "Because mommy. I heard you crying last night. I don't want you to be sad anymore." Her voice was small, but full of bravery. Sarah hugged her tightly, eyes burning. "You're my whole world, you know that?" Lily smiled. "Then we're even. You're mine." Before Sarah could respond, Ethan opened the office door. He didn't look like the CEO everyone feared. His shoulders seemed less rigid, his eyes less cold, as though Lily's tiny whisper had pushed open a door he'd kept locked for years. "Come back in," he said softly. Sarah and Lily entered. The ornament still sat on his desk, but this time it wasn't just an object, it was the turning point. Ethan walked to the window, watching the snow drift downward like little pieces of quiet. "You know," he began, "Christmas used to be my favorite holiday." His voice tightened. "My son, he loved the lights. The music. All of it. He used to race me to decorate the tree." Sarah glanced at Lily, who listened carefully. "But after the accident," Ethan continued, "the holidays became something else. Empty. Quiet. I poured myself into work because it was easier than remembering what I'd lost." He inhaled sharply. "And somewhere along the way, I forgot what really mattered." Silence held the room gently. "I'm very sorry," Sarah said softly, unsure whether she should speak. Ethan nodded. "I appreciate that. And I don't share this often, or ever. But today felt like, I don't know, like something I was supposed to face." His eyes drifted to Lily. "Your daughter reminded me of someone I used to be." Lily tilted her head. "Someone who liked Christmas?" He smiled faintly. "Someone who believed it meant something." Lily eased closer, almost instinctively. "It still does." Those three small words landed in the room like a breath of warm air. Ethan swallowed. "Maybe you're right." Sarah spoke gently, "Sir. I don't want pity. I've never asked for special treatment. I just want to work hard and keep things stable for Lily. That's all." "I know," Ethan replied, turning toward her fully. "That's why I'm not firing you. In fact," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "I think I've been blind to how much people like you have kept this company standing." Sarah blinked. "Me, sir?" "You," he confirmed. "You've been picking up extra hours. Covering shifts without complaining. Your team speaks highly of you. And you're a single mother doing everything alone." Her breath caught. She wasn't used to being seen like that. So here's what I want to do, Ethan said, then sat down slowly, as though finally stepping into a human role rather than a corporate one. First, your job is secure. No one is touching it. Sarah pressed a hand to her chest, relief flooding her. Second, he continued, I'm giving you a raise. She shook her head instantly. Sir. It isn't charity, he said firmly. It's what you've earned. Her eyes filled again. She lowered her gaze, unable to speak. But Ethan wasn't done. As for you, he turned to Lily. I believe you gave me something today I can't repay. Lily blinked. I did? She looked at her mittens as if checking whether she accidentally handed him something else. Yes. He leaned forward. You reminded me that Christmas isn't just a date. It's hope. Kindness. Second chances. Something I've forgotten for a long time. Lily's face glowed with the innocent pride only a child can feel. Mommy says hope is like a candle inside your chest. Even if everything is dark, it still gives a little light. Ethan's lips trembled into a smile that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Your mother is very wise. Sarah wiped her cheek. I only say things like that so she doesn't lose her spark. Maybe, Ethan said quietly, we both needed the reminder. The air in the room shifted, softer, almost sacred. Then Ethan cleared his throat. I'd like to ask something unusual. Sarah looked up cautiously. What is it? Do you two have Christmas plans? Sarah hesitated. Honestly? No. We were going to stay home. We didn't have the budget for gifts or anything big this year. Lily added, but we were going to bake cookies. Mommy said we could make the shape of stars because stars always know where you are, even if Santa gets lost. That sentence hit Ethan with unexpected force. His son used to say that. Sarah noticed his expression shift. Sir, are you all right? Ethan nodded slowly. Yes. Just memories. He paused, then continued, I'd like to change that for you both. If you're comfortable. I'd like you to come to the company's Christmas Eve dinner. Sarah blinked. Sir, that's usually for executives. Then it's time that changes too, he replied. You're part of this company. And Lily, his voice softened. She's already changed more than any executive ever has. Lily's eyes widened. Will there be cookies? There will be everything, Ethan said with a warm laugh. Sarah hesitated only a moment. Not because she doubted his intention, but because it felt overwhelming to be seen with kindness after being invisible for so long. We'd be honored, she said at last. Ethan nodded, relieved. As they prepared to leave, Lily ran back to his desk and touched the clay ornament gently. Don't forget this. I won't, he promised. Can I tell you a secret? She cupped her hands around her mouth the way children do. Ethan leaned forward. Of course. You look happier now, she whispered. Like your heart woke up. He froze, then released a slow, trembling breath. Maybe it did, he whispered back. Sarah watched the exchange with a soft smile, one hand pressed over her chest as if steadying her heart. As they turned to leave, Ethan called out, Sarah? She looked back. Thank you for raising a daughter who still believes in magic. She smiled. Maybe it's because she's never stopped looking for it. When the door closed behind them, Ethan sat alone in the quiet office. Snow fell heavier now, coating the city in a peaceful white. He looked at the ornament on his desk. A crooked little heart, but whole. He picked it up gently, holding it as though it were something fragile that might break if he breathed too hard. Thank you, Lily, he whispered. And for the first time in many years, Ethan Ward felt something he thought he had lost forever. Christmas. Hope. A reason to breathe again. It didn't happen through wealth. Or success. Or power. It happened because a little girl whispered one simple plea. Please don't fire Mommy. And that small voice melted the snow around a heart that had been winter for far too long.